A 24mm f1.8 with autofocus for Sony full frame for just $429. My first reaction was, what's the catch? A new lens review, guys, a budget wide angle this time. Viltrox sent me their 24mm f1.8 for Sony full frame with autofocus. And as always, this is my personal opinion. Viltrox didn't ask me to show them this video before I uploaded it, and they also didn't send me a list of things to say. So, my personal opinion. Wow, I can't breathe through my nose. That's gonna be fun. But I'm gonna finish this video anyway, just for you guys. Build quality and design. Okay. One thing I've noticed in the last couple of years is that whenever I buy a budget lens in the price range of $400, $500, $600, so let's say half or less than half of the price of a G Master, one thing I've noticed is that the build quality is usually really good. Not the same as a G Master, of course, but better than you'd expect, and this Viltrox 24mm is no different. It's a metal construction, except for the lens hood and cap, of course, and it feels great. It's a 1.8, so you'd expect it to be light and small, which it is, but it doesn't feel too light. It doesn't feel cheap. The focus ring also feels super smooth all the way, which actually surprised me because Chris Brockhurst in his review said that the lens he received, the focus ring, rubbed in certain places, so there was some mild grinding. Now, it's well known that it happens sometimes, especially with cheaper lenses. If you compare two of the same lens, then sometimes you discover some production quality differences. It happens. But am I lucky here, or is he unlucky? Well, I've checked some other reviews and it seems like he was unlucky. But just know that if it happens to you, just send it back and get another one. So, build quality is definitely a little bit better than expected for this price. It also has a USB-C port, so you can update it, and the aperture ring is, how do you call it? Stepless. Is that the right word? So it doesn't click except when you switch to auto mode. When you go through all the apertures, there's no clickety-click. The build quality of this Viltrox 24mm is actually pretty much the same as my Sony 35mm 1.8, and that one's $200 more expensive, so good stuff. Okay, so first of all, guys, I'm not a pixel peeper, you all know that. I'm usually a little bit more forgiving when it comes to sharpness and purple fringing, but here's the thing, I think it's really easy to describe the image quality of this lens. You get what you pay for, and even a little bit more. Because there is purple fringing at f1.8, but not worse than other lenses in this price range, and at f2.8 it's pretty much gone. There's also vignetting, quite a lot. There's barrel distortion, and sharpness, well, sharpness is decent. Not razor sharp, not G Master sharp, but more than good enough. I think vignetting here is the biggest problem, but they do have a profile that you can install and then it corrects the distortion and vignetting easily and quickly in Lightroom or Photoshop. Okay, so overall the image quality for a lens in this price range is great. Don't worry about it. Unless you're a pro photographer or a landscape photographer and you want the absolute best razor sharp lens, then this lens maybe is not for you. You know, it's not gonna replace a G Master lens, but I don't expect it to do that. I know for sure that I'm gonna use this lens a lot, no doubt about it, but probably more for video than for photography. Not sure yet, but I think so, because I feel like I want to use this more for video. And one more thing maybe, the autofocus highlights, the bokeh balls in the background, they're not perfectly round and smooth. But the autofocus areas in the background do look pretty good in most cases. It's just the bokeh balls are not perfect circles. If that's what you're looking for, then not this one. And a 24mm is of course also a great focal length for vlogging, even though personally I prefer a little bit wider, like a 20, maybe even 17, 16, but with this one, you do get that wide-angle, shallow depth of field look that's so desirable because it's a 1.8. You know, let me show you the difference between a 1.8 and 2.8. This is f2.8, and you can see it already looks really nice. There's a nice little blur in the background. But now let me set it to 1.8, and you should see a significant difference. There, 1.8, exposure down a little bit, like that. Okay, so same shot but at f1.8, and now you can see the background is blurred even a little bit more. So if this is the look you're looking for, wide angle, shallow depth of field, then you have to go for a 1.8 or even a 1.4. But a 1.4 with autofocus for this price, 400 bucks, I'm not sure if that even exists. I don't think so. If it does, let me know in the comments, because I want one. The autofocus also works great in both photo mode and video mode. Eye detection, face detection, no problem. It's locked on my eye right now. Let me do a little test. It keeps tracking my eye, no problem. I did a few other tests with heavy backlight, and then sometimes it struggles a little bit. But eventually it always finds an eye, so no problem at all. And remember, I'm doing it at f1.8 now. So autofocus also great. A downside maybe for some of you is that the minimum focusing distance is 30 centimeters, maybe even a little bit more. I think the G Master has a minimum focusing distance of 20 centimeters. So, you know, that is quite a big difference. Macro shots with the Viltrox, that's not possible. So, to summarize, this is a great lens, guys. For traveling, for example, it's light, it's compact, it's a 24mm 1.8 with autofocus. Just know that it's not perfect, it's not gonna replace a G Master, but it doesn't have to do that. For 400 bucks, this is a great lens. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that the only other option in this price range is the Samyang 1.8, and that one's 100 bucks more expensive, I think. So it's up to you to decide. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one.